morning, everybody. Honourable Cabinet Secretary, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, it's a real delight for me to be here this morning representing Canada's International Development Research Centre, to be able to participate and see again so many old friends and colleagues. IDRC supports applied research to identify innovative, lasting, and local solutions that bring choice and change to those who need it most. So I think we're in the right company here. Our efforts try to contribute to healthier lives, higher incomes, cleaner and safer environments, and responsible, accountable governments. Research to alleviate the impacts of climate change is one of the key pillars of our programming, and it has been for almost 10 years now. In partnership with UK DFID, Environment Canada and others, we've tried to pioneer support for research in climate change adaptation to help communities adapt to the impacts of climate change and variability. Projects in Africa, Asia and Latin America that we've supported with our partners have been delivering positive results to enhance adaptive capacities and actions. And our grantees, many of you among that are here today, have been instrumental in contributing to the development of climate policies, strategies and plans across several countries. Many contributed to the fifth assessment report of the IPCC as authors. Our most recent work in collaboration with UK DFID, the Collaborative Adaptation Research Initiative in Africa and Asia, or CADIA, which is one of the co-sponsors of this organization, focuses on 3 hotspots where demographic trends and strong climate signals put large numbers of people and their livelihoods at risk. Semi-arid regions in Africa and South Asia, deltas and central regions, and glacier-fed large river basins. And I know you'll be interacting with many of our colleagues from CARIA this week. Our continued investment in adaptation over the last decade, at a time when the environment in Canada is, as you know, not been entirely favourable to work on climate change, is testimony, I think, to the recognition of the seriousness of climate change in our government, in IDRC, and amongst the many people that have influenced our thinking, and its impacts on economy and livelihood in developing countries, in fact, on all aspects of development. Participatory action research approaches at the core of much of community-based adaptation, which IDRC has supported steadfastly for over 2 decades, have enhanced the linkages of vulnerable populations with researchers and decision makers, and have strengthened the move towards shared agendas, citizen science, and greater accountability. They've also brought researchers closer to people's needs, priorities, and local realities. And to the surprise of skeptics, they also contributed to policy change, because these approaches are scalable. National policy dialogue is also a participatory action research process. Timely, relevant information and options grounded in scientific evidence are now vital for many countries in debating, planning, and testing their adaptation strategies. To give an example, our host, Kenya, is now making significant strides in implementing components of its climate change action plan, supported by the passing of the new climate change bill into law. Visionary county governments, such as Isiolo, with the support of the national government and international NGOs, are putting plans to the test, adapting as they go, and achieving remarkable results. We're honoured to be with you this week and to contribute to your objective to measure and enhance the effectiveness of adaptation. The CBA has become a global forum for ideas, innovations, and development outcomes arising from the efforts of citizens, activists, scientists, and policymakers globally to respond to the challenges of climate change. It's a key space for applied sciences whom we support, as well as ourselves, to partner with you. Together, we're in a position to use ideas and knowledge to improve the lives of millions. The rich variety of sub-themes of this conference, which is really quite remarkable, is both timely and pertinent to this continent. I'm especially happy to note that you'll be dedicating significant time to the needs of women, youth, and vulnerable groups during the conference. While both men and women's perspectives are important in contributing to finding adaptive solutions that work for communities, women's priorities ideas and needs require special attention, given the gender-differentiated impacts of climate change and the crucial role played by women in economic and social development. Work that IDRC and DFID are supporting on women's economic and social empowerment, on safe and inclusive cities, which I invite you to learn about more via our web pages, are also contributing to women's adaptive capacity in ways which, if you think about it for a moment, are just as crucial as the more direct interventions we tend to focus on. We look forward to hearing more about your work in these and other areas that are working for women, youth, and vulnerable groups. Another topic we'll hear about is the potential of scaling up climate-smart agriculture. But going to scale is really driving the thinking behind development funding and how development funding is changing now. We're seeing a much greater infusion of private funding into development by a number of different mechanisms. And IDRC as a research funder is not unaffected by this. Our new strategic plan, which you can see on our website, talks as impact at scale as our major objective, building the partnerships to achieve that impact and building the leadership to support it and provide the vision. Now, we believe that if we're to accelerate impact and achieve scale, we need to involve the private sector, increasingly being recognized as a key partner in the development innovation playing field. And for good reason. That's where the big bucks are. The needs that climate change adaptation require, frankly, the Green Climate Change Fund pales into insignificance almost, given what we know we're going to need, as Atika's just said. We need to find ways of involving the private sector that enhance adaptive capacity by increasing the quantity, quality, and affordability of goods and services, of infrastructure, roads, and energy, access to markets, reduction of post-harvest losses, and that generate jobs and income for millions of women and youth. So our working hypothesis, if you like, is that partnering with the private sector can accelerate impact, mobilize capital and expertise, and ensure that research breakthroughs benefit as many people as possible. We don't have time to do it any other way. We're approaching the topic more systematically as a key component of our new strategic plan, building on a modest base of knowledge, experience, and promising new programming, partnering with Canadian financial cooperatives. Yes, cooperatives are private sector, so are small farmers, and we're looking to partner with them to make available cheap and thermostable vaccines for sheep and goats, protecting them against multiple diseases. Healthier sheep and goats, more money in women's pockets, more nutrition for children. Okay? Indirect impact, but a very key part of adaptation as well. Let me just finish by sharing a few thoughts on how we see the immediate future of adaptation. Putting communities at the core of finding lasting solutions to the challenges brought about by climate change and variability is central to adaptation. This is what you do, and we applaud your leadership. But seeking understanding of systems and contextual needs has to be at the core of the learning behind that adaptation and the action research if we're to be efficient and effective in our efforts to adapt at all scales. Partnerships in investment, action, and learning will be central to effective adaptation. There's a lot of knowledge, scientific results, and practical learning already out there, as well as a lot of replication and reinventing of wheels. We need to find ways to help each other learn faster, getting access to key knowledge and principles on which to base context-specific learning processes that constitute adaptation. Fundamentally, this demands a rethink of education and learning. Wider access to the internet may be promoting this to some extent, but how can we make the process of learning itself smarter and faster? We do need to define metrics and develop measurements for assessing progress towards sustainable and transformative adaptive actions, alongside and not additional to efforts to measure progress on the SDGs. These efforts have to be embedded within learning processes and owned by the people with most at stake: farmers, businesswomen, elected officials, bank managers, city planners, and citizen scientists. The note is as much about how to measure as what to measure. As we understand better the system we're working on, our attention needs to shift to new variables. But if we're not learning effectively, or we're rigidly fixated on standard indicators, our measurement may be in vain. Finally, we need continuous sharing of experiences and empirical evidence emerging from community-based adaptive actions to inform and shape climate policies and plans at practicable scales, from national down to local. In that regard, your work this week is crucial to our future. Thank you for listening, and I wish you fruitful